If you've ever believed in vision boards or manifestation or trusting the process, but then something happens in your life that completely turns it upside down, and that something was not on your vision board, this video is for you. Because when loss or illness or betrayal or just anything life altering happens in your life, the whole idea of creating your future can feel like a lie. Like, what's the point of believing again when life already showed you that it can be taken all away? And I know, especially in the start of the new year and this time of year, there's just so much pressure to envision your life and plan your future and imagine and visualize and set goals. But for a lot of people, especially after grief or trauma, that pressure doesn't feel inspiring. It feels painful. So in a minute, I want to share a way to work with vision and imagery again with a tool that doesn't ask you to trust a future you don't believe in yet, and it doesn't bypass what you've been through. Vision boards usually are talked about as hopeful and inspiring and a way to create your destiny, if you will. And there is science behind visualization. Using imagery and imagination can help your brain form new neural pathways. When you repeatedly visualize something, your brain starts treating it as it's familiar, which it makes it feel more possible. But grief changes that equation. After loss or trauma, your nervous system isn't focused on creating the future. It's focused on staying in the present. And then there's the spiritual and manifestation side of it. You believe hard enough or align your energy, surrender the how. You do all the things and life will just unfold the way you planned or the way you imagined. But when you've done all that, when you have believed, you visualized, you trusted, you followed the rules, and something devastating still happens, it doesn't just hurt. It feels like a betrayal of life by the process, by God, by the universe, and honestly, sometimes even by yourself. Because you didn't just lose something, you lost trust. You lost trust in the outcome, trust in the future, trust in things you once believed in. Because that loss, that diagnosis, that ending or life disruption wasn't on your vision board. It wasn't a part of the plan. And when that trust breaks, even thinking about the future feels threatening. It can feel really scary. And it's not because you're negative. It's not because you're cynical. It's because your system learned the hard way that life doesn't always follow the plan. And that's the part that, manifestation or positive thinking messaging doesn't always acknowledge. It doesn't account for grief. It doesn't account for trauma. It doesn't account for the moment when life proves that you're not always in control. So if you've ever felt angry at vision boards or spiritual tools or just the whole believe it and you'll see it idea, especially after a loss or a major shift in your life, I get it. Hi, I'm Destiny Ray L. I'm a trauma-informed grief and life coach, and I know because I've lived it. The year after my brother passed away, I ripped up my vision board to shreds, literally shreds, not ceremonially, not ritually, just purely out of anger and even a little rage and just pure pain. Because I had visualized, I had faith. I'm getting emotional even saying it. I used the tools. I believed. I used to do all the things. And then my life fell apart. It shattered. His passing was definitely not on my vision board. It was not a part of my destiny. And after that, holding or imagining anything about the future felt really scary, really hard. And I just couldn't go there. It's still hard for me sometimes to go to a future place. So when I talk about visioning and things like vision boards and how they can feel just impossible after loss or a major life change, I'm not speaking theoretically. I'm speaking from experience. I've lived it. And from that place of just having lost trust in life sometimes. And now working with others, I know I'm not alone in that. And that's what I hope this video offers you, that you're not alone in it either. And I'm really hoping that this video can at least give you support and perhaps discovering a new way again to use visioning, which I'm going to share with you in a second. So here's what I want to normalize. The problem isn't visioning. It's not even the vision board or the tools. Traditional vision boards do have a time and a place where they can absolutely be powerful and supportive. But when your trust has been broken, outcome-based visioning or results-based visioning just doesn't work. Your nervous system remembers, we hoped before, we believed, and we got hurt. So when you try to imagine a future again, your body doesn't feel safe. And that's not resistance, that's protection. And at the same time, I also know that when you are ready to start moving forward again, or you're feeling lost or stuck and just looking for a way out of that feeling, we often do need tools that help us orient us forward, or just something that can give us a sense of direction again, and maybe even a little hope, but without ignoring the pain we've just been through. So I want to introduce an exercise that still uses imagery and still uses visuals, but without the expectation of outcomes or forcing trust in something. It shifts the focus from what you want to happen or what you want to have to really inward and how you want to feel as you move forward with your life right now. And this is what I call the feeling board. It's a grief and trauma-informed way of just working with visioning that supports your nervous system instead of working against it. So before we get into the steps, here's how to set it up. And if you need to pause this video and come back to it, that's okay. But similar to traditional vision boards, you can do this physically or digitally. If you are an old school and want to grab magazines and pictures and poster board, or maybe just a notebook or a journal, that's fine. Or if you prefer digital, you can use Canva or Pinterest or even a notes app. Or if you're like me and you want to do a hybrid of both, that's great too. There's really no right format. Really what matters is that you just collect images or words or symbols that just come together so you can create a visual anchor that you can return to again and again that really supports how you want to feel now. Okay, so step one, first and foremost, you want to ask yourself, how do I want to feel as I move through my life right now? And if it helps to give it a time frame, you can say, how do I want to feel in my life in the next 3 months? Or how do I want to feel this year? It's not about goals or outcomes or results. It's just really about feelings. Maybe you want to feel steadier, or you want to feel more connected or more supported or more rested or just more alive. Just choose what your body really needs and really wants and what your heart is longing for. Okay, step 2. Now, this is where you're going to want to gather the images that really evoke the feelings. These images are not about the things you want to have or desires or a future you want to achieve. Really, this is about images that create a felt response. And of course, you can use words or quotes or anything that provides an imagery of how you want to feel, but let your body give you the signal. If you notice that your chest softens or your shoulder drops, or maybe you just feel just a sense of resonance to the image, trust that, because this is about visual regulation, not manifestation. And also on another note, the image does not have to literally match the feeling. Let the feeling guide you to the image rather than trying to seek out the right image that matches the feeling that you want to feel. I'll give you an example. I did this exercise with a client who lives in a quiet, rural area. And it was interesting because all the images she chose were cities and New York City and bright lights and colors and movement. And we were both surprised because it was the opposite of her reality at the time, or even what she expressed that she wanted in her life or what she wanted to feel. But as we deepened it and as we explored it further, it wasn't that she wanted to literally move to the city, but what those images represented was her wanting to feel more alive and more energized and have more hope and just feel a sense of connection. That's how she wanted to feel. And she realized that she'd been isolating herself without even fully seeing it. And the imagery that she had explored really revealed something that an outcome-based traditional vision board likely would never have given her that insight about. And it really helped her find ways to bring more connection and aliveness into her life right where she was. It was a really powerful moment. So perhaps for you, that's definitely going to maybe look different, but you really just want to trust the images as you feel into them. And once you've gathered your images, you just want to place them all together really just as a whole and let your body take it in. You're not reflecting just yet. You're just noticing and letting your body notice what it feels. And you're also letting your body take in what it sees. Okay, so step 3. And this part is really, really important. And that's to acknowledge what you've been through. If someone you love has passed away, maybe you include their photo or a symbol or just anything or something that represents their presence and their values. My personal feelings board, I have my brother's photo right front and center. And I also have an iPhone that has this cord. It's in like space where there's all these planets. And for me, it really just symbolized how I want to stay connected to him through time and space, no matter what, while I'm here on Earth and he is in wherever he is. And that every time I see it, it really brings me to that feeling. And for you, perhaps if your loss looks different, maybe a relationship ending or a diagnosis or even a dream that failed or just the life that you thought you'd have, perhaps you include images that reflect how you want to feel moving forward, whether it's healing or more peace or strength or even just boundaries that you want to set. Just anything that reflects how you want to carry your experience with you now. It's not about staying stuck or denying reality. It's really just about acknowledging how these experiences have shaped you and how you want to live with that truth going forward. So make sure you really find images that reflect that. Okay, so step 4, the final step in this exercise, and that's where we're going to bring it all together. And once you've gathered all your images and words and symbols and quotes and everything that match how you want to feel, now you're going to place them on the board or the screen or just however feels right for you. And really try not to think too hard. There's no correct layout. Just let the images arrange themselves. You're going to know, you're going to trust. It's going to feel a sense of resonance and just feel your way into that. You'll know when it comes together and trust that the images know a lot more than your mind or your thinking mind. This board is not about perfection. It's just a visual, snapshot of what supports you right now. And let it stay flexible. You can add images, you can remove them, you can shift them around the next day and the next day. It's going to grow and evolve with you. So trust that. And finally is the integration. This is where you really want to just take some time and reflect on the feelings board and just notice what it's showing you. Not what you have to do, but really how you feel. What is it reflecting back to you? What is your body and heart asking for? Is it more rest? Is it more time with yourself? Is it a change in your physical environment? Is it more structure? Maybe it's all the above. Just let it guide you forward with small, gentle shifts that you can make right now. Nothing is forced, just one way that will support you as you start to take steps forward. And one thing I have come to learn is that moving forward after loss isn't about pretending nothing happened. It's about saying that it did happen. It did change you, and yet you're still here. You can grieve and imagine. You can mistrust the future and still explore what you need next. Both can exist at the same time. And in fact, they likely do. That's the point where you really just honor that and can trust that and really get honest about it in yourself. And I want to name this too. This exercise is really just a starting point. When I work privately with clients, we take this much further, not just how you want to feel, but really who you're becoming as a result of what you've lived and the values that matter to you now. The imagery becomes a fuller visual anchor for how you want to rebuild your life going forward. And if that's the kind of deeper exploration that you're wanting or needing, or even if you're just navigating your way through loss or grief or a change, and you're wanting to rebuild your life in a way that feels honest and grounded and meaningful, this is the exact kind of work that I do in my one-on-one sunset to sunrise coaching journey. And I would just love to connect with you and see how we can work together and how I might be able to support you as you move forward. So I'd love to invite you to schedule a free call with me, no pressure. I'll just leave the details below if that's something that resonates with you. And of course, if you're looking for, more tools like this, reflections, that's what this channel is about. That's what I'm here for, and I am here. So I welcome you to stay, subscribe, come back again. And in fact, speaking of next week, we're going to continue the conversation around rebuilding after loss and what that actually looks like. I'll see you in the next video, and thank you so much for being here.